Today, Stephanie and I are going to talk about why it is so important to use a buyer's agent.
Yes, because it really can save you a lot of headache and a lot of money, even if you've done multiple transactions in the past or if you're a licensed realtor in another state.
That's right. It can be so different here in this specific state of Colorado, and even more specifically in our resort market. So let's get started. What's one of the things that you offer clients that you feel like, they can't really live without, or it would be really hard to buy a house here if we weren't here helping them with these type of things?
So I think before just even getting into the nitty-gritty, one thing that some of our viewers may know, some may not, is that I was licensed in Pennsylvania before I was licensed in Colorado. And just things are completely different in every state. So in Pennsylvania, for example, it is the norm for the buyer to pay for title insurance. In Colorado, it's customary for the seller to pay for title insurance. That can be a $1,500 expense to a $6,000 or $8,000 expense, depending on your price point.
Exactly.
And if I had chosen to buy from Pennsylvania without an agent, I would have been paying for it because I would have written a contract. And I would have
Absolutely. Yep. So certainly folks from out of state can benefit from using us as their buyer's agents. In fact, I had a realtor from Texas. She had a great friend that was buying, one of her best friends wanted to buy up here in Summit County. And she said, I can't really help you up there. I'm going to find someone. She found me. We made a connection. She did the introductions, and I helped her friend buy a fantastic home in Silverthorne. And, she just was not, she realized she wanted to help her friend, but just couldn't really do all of that from out of state and certainly didn't know our rules. So,
and I've helped two realtors in the last few years who are licensed in other states buy here because they realize they don't know the market.
right. They certainly know about real estate, but again, there's so many specifics to know about. So certainly we can help in that department. Another thing that we have a lot of fun with, and I really enjoy, is FaceTiming clients into the properties, or if there's not good enough cell service there, or that they're not, available at that time to do a FaceTime video, we can also take a very detailed video so you can actually study that later and run through the property instead of just looking at the still photos, right?
Absolutely. It helps you understand the flow. And I always say it's not the exact same as walking through a home as if you're here, but it is a great second best. It's a way to start to understand our market and to get inside of some homes, even though you're a few states away.
Well, and two, sometimes people think that they're interested and they're so interested they might get on a plane and come and see it. And that will help them make that final decision. You might go to the property and actually pan around and show what the neighbors' properties look like. And they might say, oh gosh, that's not quite what we thought, or not quite the neighborhood that we wanted. So that can be really helpful. Or in a better situation, they say, oh, that looks amazing. Yes, we'll get on a plane and come on up and have a look.
Absolutely. And I like to tell my clients that I am their boots on the ground. I'm their eyes, their ears, and their nose. So whether that's the whole time I'm touring a property and this dog next door is barking incessantly,
Right.
it smells like smoke, you can hear the highway even with the windows closed, whatever that is.
Exactly.
That's our job. And
We kind of do a review for you, right? Before you get on the plane.
so definitely use us and allow us to serve you and assist you in that way to get in properties. And then when you are here and you are in the mountains, we can use our time more efficiently. We can go and see the 5 homes in the neighborhoods you've narrowed down instead of it just being this overwhelming, I don't even know where to start. Because when you come to Vail, you come to Breckenridge, we get it. You want to hike, you want to ski, you want to be outside. You don't want to spend your whole week here. We'll dine at home. So this is a great way to use your time efficiently, tour as many homes as possible, and work towards finding that dream mountain home.
That's right. And because we are in such a really, our economy here is good and the market is moving. Houses are selling. If they are priced correctly, there could still be multiple offers. So we are in a strong market. And so our folks, our buyers, you do need to act quickly in some of these situations. And so for us to sell a home sight unseen, or at least get it under contract, is not unusual either. I mean, again, if you can't say you're in another state and we FaceTime you in, you really like the property, we'll go ahead and put that offer in for you. And then in the next couple of weeks, as soon as possible, you jump on that plane or get in the car and drive up and have a look. Obviously, the hope being that you love it and you want to move forward. And then if not, then we talk about, ways to terminate that contract. That's another whole nother talk and situation. But again, that's a lot of what we can do on the front end of getting you into a contract here in a very active market.
And then another point, a thing we want to talk about is we're here. We're in it every day. I would love to say 5 days a week. It's 7 days a week.
Right.
So we understand the neighborhoods. We understand the rules and regulations. Like a lot of other places in the country, our rental rules have changed in the last 2 years.
Right.
We fully understand them. So if that's something important to you, then we can help with that. We know which communities to search for. And maybe it's not that. Maybe it's that you have a Sprinter van or you have a camper and you want to know, where can I park this and I'm not paying storage fees? We also understand that. So just regarding the unique challenges that are presented here in our resort communities, we understand those rules and regulations. We can work through them with you and guide you to neighborhoods and communities that fit your unique needs.
Exactly. Some people, some of our clients and buyers specifically don't want to short-term rent. And then we can help find a neighborhood where there's not people just coming and going and you really get to know your neighbors. So that's kind of the flip side to short-term renting. And then as Stephanie mentioned, many folks absolutely want to help offset that cost of ownership and do want to be able to rent on a short-term basis. So we know these neighborhoods so well, you can pretty much call us up, tell us the address and say, can I short-term rent here? And we will know. That can be tricky. So that's another way that we can help out with whether or not you want to rent your property that you purchase here.
And then a few other things real quick, 1031 tax exchanges. Personally, we have done multiple of them. So not only have we just been coached or heard about them or helped clients walk through it, but as you know, when you've gone through something personally, you understand it that much more. So between the two of us, we have done a handful of those in our own property exchanges and investments. So truly understand how that works. Also understand how a reverse 1031 works and can put you in contact with the folks you need to work with to hold those funds, to write up those documents, to help you through the tax process. So we can help you with those things. And kind of combined with that, Lisa, why don't you talk about lenders and why it's important that we use one of our preferred lenders instead of the person you just bought your primary home with?
Exactly. So we do have some amazing lenders that we can put you in touch with. Very easy to talk to, professional, but they can help you get that pre-approval that you need. Again, in an active market, all of these sellers will want to see that you are pre-approved to purchase their property, no matter the price point. It can be a $300,000 condo or a $3 million home. They're going to want to see that you can get to the closing table, and our lenders can help with that, specifically if you are buying a condo or a townhome, because the lenders here are very aware of the nuances of a resort community, and the HOA of that condo or townhome complex does play a big role in how you will qualify for that loan. So a lot of times out-of-town lenders say that they can help you because they want that business, and they really don't. They can't get you to the closing table. And it's really sad when deals fall apart in the end, and it can be very tricky. So these local lenders, it's what they do for a living. They do it every day, and we really trust them. So,
and I want to throw in one more thing. I understand it's a huge pain to resubmit your tax documents, your incomes, your bank statements. I fully understand that. But I've also stood beside clients that 4 days before closing realized their lender couldn't close, right? Because there were more short-term rentals in the building than they realized. Or it's just really intricate and very unique. And our lenders have the portfolio products that can service these these areas if and when needed. And we're not finding that out 4 days before closing, where now your earnest money could likely be at risk. So just wanted to acknowledge that we know it is definitely an extra step and it is painful, but is worth the conversation. And when we say, hey, use one of our preferred lenders, like just let's have a conversation.
Exactly.
Serious. It's because our job truly is to look out for your best interest. And that's why when we have that conversation with you, why we're having it.
Definitely. And then once you are pre-approved and we find you an amazing home to put an offer in on, that's another thing that a buyer's agent can help you with. And we also enjoy the process. We are not afraid to negotiate on your behalf. Stephanie and I have both had clients who say, well, I'm looking to talk to the seller's agent or the listing agent, right? And you don't want that, specifically because very simply, they are working for and serving the seller and trying to get the seller the very best price. Whereas your buyer's agent is working for you very hard to negotiate the best price specifically for you.
This is going to be one of your biggest, for a lot of our clients, a home purchase anywhere, much less here in the mountains, was one of the biggest purchases they're going to ever make. Right. And it's terrifying to think of doing that without anyone representing you. So just always tuck that away. Another story, actually the last contract I wrote last week, representing the buyers. They had originally wanted to work with the listing agent, kind of had this conversation. And as we were writing the offer, realized that there was talk of a potential special assessment. So I dug into that, and sure enough, there's an $18,000 special assessment coming. And they really kind of were like, oh, well, maybe we won't buy it. And I said, well, hey guys, we're gonna ask the seller to pay for it. And like, we can't do that. And I'm like, oh no, we can. Right. So we didn't get all of it, but we got a huge percentage of that special assessment paid for by the seller. Now, if they were working with the listing agent, I can guarantee you the listing agent would not have recommended that and walked through that with them because they were serving the seller. So it's just hard to be completely neutral in those situations.
Exactly.
So
well, that's part of the due diligence, which there are many other aspects to due diligence, which is part, again, of what we help with, such as, have you seen the short-term rentals that are still on the books that you may or may not need to honor, may or may not be able to cancel? Sometimes folks, they don't want those rentals on the books. They say, we want to buy it and live in it ourselves. So that's something to look out for. What are some other, the inventory? Is it being sold furnished or not? Some folks buy these homes and they don't even realize it was being sold unfurnished. So all of those pretty furnishings that you saw are not going to be there when you walk in the door, and you will want to know that.
Or maybe there's just mis-expectations. You think it's being sold unfurnished and you walk in and it's filled with a lot of furniture from the 90s that you really didn't want.
Correct.
Whatever, however that falls, or maybe it's mostly furnished, but they're taking the artwork and then the expensive mixer in the kitchen and this one random thing that great-great-grandma gifted to them. So inventory is part of our due diligence, and that is unique to this market. As a lot of primary residence markets, you just buy a home empty and you buy it empty. And so we understand that. We're going to walk through that. That's part of those due diligence docs. And then wells and septic. Lisa, talk about that.
Okay, well, many of my home buyers have never had a well or a single family home in a more rural area. So that is very different. It is not something to be afraid of, but it is something to pay attention to and know about. We actually put deadlines in our contracts where we ask the sellers to have the septic system pumped and inspected, and therefore you end up with the permit in hand that you do need to go to closing. Now, if you're doing this yourself, again, you might not realize any of that. You might show up to the closing day and say, gosh, I never asked the seller for that permit for the showing that the septic is in good functioning order. And if the property goes to close, now you're the owner and you will be expected to, you actually have to eventually submit that permit showing that your septic is in good working order. So just, we don't want to bore you with septic tanks, but there is a lot to know about it. And again, easy if you have someone helping you, someone on your side, coaching you through all of that, but can be very challenging, very costly if those are things that you're not aware of.
Yes, absolutely. And same with wells. And just talking water rights in Colorado. It's pretty dry here. Water rights are a real thing. So understanding what your rights are, what you're buying into, is the well working, what's that flow rate, all those kinds of things. And you would be surprised how many of our single family homes right in town are on well and septic. We're not talking about stuff that is 4 miles down a dirt road on an old mining claim. We're talking about the things in town. So again, just things to be aware of.
Well, the flip side to that too is if you say, oh my gosh, that sounds overwhelming. I don't want a well and septic. Great. We can help you find a single family home that is on a city sewer line and water line. So that's something to think about too.
And another thing, just as we're kind of talking about basics, internet, we all need it, whether we want to admit it or not. And so our internet here, in some spots it's great, some spots it's not. So Starlink is a big thing here. How do you get on that wait list? Is there a wait list? Can I get that service now? Sometimes there's a wait list, but you can be transferred from the current seller. So we walk through that process. It can be a process, but again, we're here to help you through it. It's stuff we do all the time.
Exactly. And we'll step right into our next point, which is the inspection report. We also help in great detail with that. We provide a list of some of our preferred vendors, some of our preferred inspectors. You go and have the home inspected, of course, and you don't always have to. People don't realize that. You can self-inspect. You can decline an inspection if you just say, we love it, we want to buy it as it is. However, we often recommend an inspector comes and has a look at the property. If there is a list of items that you absolutely can't live with, again, open for negotiation. We will write an inspection objection on your behalf and bring that to the seller and negotiate those points and see if we can't get them to help with some of those items before you take on the ownership of that property.
And if you've bought a home, you've probably walked through some of those steps before elsewhere, but our pricing's different. So maybe there are 3 items you want the seller to address, or you want the credit for that and you're going to take care of it later. We understand the pricing and what that traditionally looks like here. And we can put you in contact with professionals in that field that are trusted. They're going to show up. They're going to take care of it.
That's right.
So just understanding again that it is a different market. You don't live here full time. You probably don't have those contacts, and we're here to support you through that.
Speaking of second homeowners and not living here all the time, very frequently folks will want to hire a property management company. That is actually something that you definitely need to do if you're going to be renting on a short-term basis. You can't rent from a distance. You have to have someone in place here. But even if it's your home and you're not short-term renting it, but you want someone to do a walkthrough once a month just to make sure that there's no water leaking, the heat is on, all of those important things, we can help with that, even down to the companies that will shop for you before you arrive and have food in the refrigerator and do all of those things for you. We have some great property managers in place that we would recommend because it's tricky, right? Who do you want in your home when you're not there? But again, I think it's helpful to call someone that does have a good reputation that we would recommend.
Absolutely. So if it's Amazon packages that are sent and they arrive before you do, or you leave and the trash needs to be taken to the curb 3 days after you leave, or an assortment of things, we can support you in that. So I hope we've answered some of your questions, concerns today as to why it is important to have boots on the ground and support here in this market. And that we understand you don't know this market, you don't live here full time, and our job is to support you before the process starts, during, and even after. That the day of closing, this relationship and support does not end.
Exactly.
We're always here, just a phone call away to support you as well.
That's right. We are here through the whole process. We have a transaction coordinator that steps in once we're under contract and helps with the process as well. And then, as Stephanie mentioned, after the closing, our folks, our clients become our friends and they call us and say, oh my, this is happening, or can you run by my house and check on this or that? We are here throughout the entire process and forever, basically, to be on your side and part of your team here, just always willing to help.
Yeah. Because we are not realtors that are just there for the 40 days we are working with you. We truly hope to support you before, during, and after. So be sure to reach out, subscribe, let us know what questions you have, where you are in the process, and we really look forward to helping you find your dream mountain home.